Early in the history of warfare, the best formula for victory was compounded of striking power, mobility, and self-protection.
The US is easily the most powerful country to have ever existed, and it certainly spends more on its military budget than any other country does today. That's all pretty well known. But less well known is the fact that the US has around 800 military bases around the globe. This map can't even show that many dots. These are just 200 or so dots to give you an idea of where these bases are clustered. These bases are everything from massive military compounds to small airstrips in the middle of the ocean. If you combined all the foreign bases that every other nation has outside of its own borders, you get a total of about 30. There's never been a country with such a massive global presence. And the big question is, how did these bases get there in the first place? And how much is it costing US taxpayers to keep them open? Most of these bases cropped up after World War II, when the US set up in places like Germany and Japan to help maintain peace after an era of intense global war.
But we cannot expect these people to discard Nazi ideas with the casual air with which they abandoned their uniforms. Slowly, steadily, they must be taught the fundamentals of democracy. Our task is to supervise this training in democracy.
Even though these countries are now stable, robust democracies and allies, the US still has 50,000 troops in Japan and 54,000 in Germany. The Korean War brought an influx of American infrastructure into the Korean Peninsula, where we now have 28,500 troops stationed. The Cold War made the US expansion to every corner of the globe imperative to US strategic goals.
Here in Russia, you see the reason why we are spending billions of dollars in defense production. Why your family is paying the highest taxes in our history.
But even now that the Cold War is over, there's not a place on Earth that's not still influence. This includes everything from naval compounds like those in Guantanamo Bay, to small drone bases like those in the Horn of Africa, to little-known posts in the middle of the Indian Ocean like that of Diego Garcia. And it's not cheap. Keeping US foreign bases open costs taxpayers between $70 and $100 billion per year. That's more than any other government agency receives in taxpayer money, besides, of course, the Department of Defense itself. Taxpayers pay between $10,000 and $40,000 more per soldier stationed abroad than they do for those stationed here domestically. But this cost seems to be worth it to most lawmakers. The idea that US military leadership provides an indispensable stability to the globe is now a fixture of our global strategy and our foreign policy.
In an uncertain world, full of breathtaking change, the one constant is American leadership.
You can't have stability without American leadership. There's only one nation in the world capable of rallying the freedom-loving people of this planet to confront evil.
American leadership is not just respected, it is required.
So over the past 70 years, the US has set up bases all over the world in response to threats, and then they just never left. These 800 bases around the world represent a massive system of military power that isn't often talked about. And it's us, the American taxpayers, that are financially supporting this. We have all decided that it's worth it to pump $100 billion out of our economy to keep these bases open on the far corners of our globe.